I'm excited now to move actually to a new sustainability category, which is going to be communications. And representing the category is College of the Canyons. Their project is called Training the Next Generation. They've produced a podcast series devoted to sharing the wisdom and experience of environmental leaders with a new generation, which is wonderful. The team leads are Patty Robinson and Jessica Edmond, and Jessica will be presenting. Jessica, love this approach to leadership training and want to hear some more. Let's throw it on over to you.
Thank you so much. We are Dr. Patty Robinson, my colleague, and we are so grateful to be here today and have this opportunity to share our vision of how we can make positive change within our community and also for the County of Los Angeles, and perhaps even be a model for other cities. So our project focuses on the spirit of association by creating a sustainable community. And okay, so our college, we are College of the Canyons, and we're located in Santa Clarita, California. Of course, we're all California. For those of you who are not familiar with Santa Clarita, we're also known as the place of Magic Mountain. So that puts us on the map. Anyway, so we're a beautiful city about 30 miles northwest of downtown LA. And we actually are the third largest city in LA County as far as numbers go. So also like to mention, we got to go back to, there we go. So we just want to put some context to our community. So this College of the Canyons was established in 1969 in Santa Clarita, and we have some before and after pictures, the black and white. You can see is a lot of barren land, and you can see how much our community has grown in the past 50 years in the colored photos with all the housing. And the college actually Valencia, that we have two campuses. We have one in Valencia and also one in Canyon Country. And so you can see right above the map is our Valencia location. So next slide, please. Being a growing community, we'll transition to Patty. Thank you, Patty.
I'm so sorry. I think there's a bit of a delay on our end with this slide, so I apologize. Are you able to see the Pando impact goal right now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Again, I apologize. So as what we're trying to do with our impact goal, and just to be very clear here, the work that we're doing is very, very different from the other types of projects that have been part of the Pando Days presentation. They've all been fantastic, but you can probably see that there's been a greater emphasis on environmental sustainability, where we're looking at this more from creating a place for community sustainability. And with regard to our impact goal, you can see that our emphasis is to create a new generation of leaders through the active intergenerational association in nonprofits by creating opportunities for students to work across generations to address local problems and to advance individual belonging, group well-being, and community sustainability. This is aligning with our goal as a college to really look at the topic of the Carnegie classification with regard to civic and community engagement. We are emphasizing engagement, collaboration, the community of how we join the campus and the community together as a way to exchange knowledge and resources, and to also try and create greater partnerships and reciprocity with those in our community. This also fits very nicely with our vision as a campus and our community to go back to the idea of looking at wicked problems and specifically re-examining or revisiting the scholarship of engagement. This is something that we feel very strongly with on our campus, that particularly through project-based learning, that we are really trying to get our students to start to think in terms of those most pressing civic, social, and economic and moral problems that they can start to look at, and again, through this idea of community building.
So the PLACE project started about 3 years ago through a special grant project through an organization called Bringing Theory to Practice. Our project grew into a permanent internship on our campus. And this is just a picture of our original team and our slogan, our home, our community, our place. PLACE stands for Partnerships for Listening and Action by Communities and Educators. And that is definitely what we're all about. So in the very beginning, we were focusing on the wicked problem of housing insecurity, also addressing belonging and well-being within a community. We addressed these issues initially through dialogues between students and classes and faculty, and also engaging our older adult community. Those dialogues were also the beginning of our original podcast series 3 years ago. So we've been working on this for a long time. We discovered through this work and these conversations that through intergenerational discussions reveals a serious gap between the generations and their feelings about the cause of the housing problem, and who is benefiting from it and who is suffering from it. We noticed that there was little understanding of each other's needs between the older adults and our younger college age younger adults. And also there were a lot of stereotypes that came out between ageist stereotypes between the younger and the older. And we saw that there was a tremendous lack of trust between the age groups.
And this actually brings us to the concept of trust, which plays a very major role in the work that we're doing. And I've just put some graphs up here, but again, the only thing that I really want you to focus on is how, when we're looking at how citizens are looking at how they in fact trust each other, is that very top graph that is so important, showing that 70% of those people who are part of this study, this Pew study, showed that they actually have low trust. And they don't think that they can actually work together to solve community problems or the country's problems. And this is actually a huge, huge problem that we're seeing. And so what this allows us to do then is to go back, and this really becomes the premise of what we're looking at. We're going back to the old work, if you will, of the idea of social capital and how we build social capital, particularly through the theses that came out of Putman's work and Bella's work and Nesbitt's work, and the idea of bringing social networks together and bonding people together and bridging between diverse populations with that idea of reciprocity. And so what this does, without that trust that we're seeing more and more of in our country today and in our communities, we have to ask, is civic and community engagement facing this democracy at risk? And so this then brings us to this idea of the spirit of association that fits very much back with de Tocqueville's emphasis on associations, and how you can bring people from all different walks of life together, and they actually create that change by finding those commonalities, or what he would refer to as the habits of heart. Those particular kinds of dispositions that bring a thread of commonality where we're all working towards the same goal. And again, this fits very nicely with Parker Palmer's work as well, and trying to understand that we are all in this together.
Okay, one way we are doing this is through our local nonprofit organizations, the Zonta International and Rotary International. Both of these organizations have been around for over 100 years and have been very active in the community of Santa Clarita. So we're partnering with them and their leadership, and also with this big attempt to bridge our campus community with the greater community of Santa Clarita. And next slide will show you how we're doing that directly with our students. So we have recently, and thanks to some of our student members here today, Colin is here today, and our place team with Ebony and Haley and Lauren and many others who have put forth great effort into helping us establish these college groups on campus. So the Zonta International, they have a college age group called the Golden Z Club. And Rotary, their college age club is called Rotaract. So both clubs were just chartered actually just about a week ago on our campus. And this meets our goals of developing a new generation of leaders and connecting them with the experienced leaders of the community organizations of these groups. And for them to begin working on solving our local problems and advancing the feeling of belonging and well-being within our community. Next slide. Okay, so in addition to that, we have created a podcast series, and I mentioned that earlier. Our original concept came about 3 years ago. We restarted the podcast during the summer, and this is an image of our first recording was with our last year's Associated Student Government President, Abby Royster, and this year's Associated Student Government, Colin Schneer, and he's with us today. So they talked about leadership and their feelings about our community and lots of good stuff. And there's Patty and I too as well. We have an amazing recording studio at College of the Canyons, and we're so grateful to the faculty member, John Amador, and his interns for making this all possible. You can see with all these pictures, all our community leaders through Rotary and Zonta, who came and were recently interviewed. And thanks to one of our team members named Haley, she created a new list of questions for us to engage in these dialogues. And also we have a long time a community member. We're skipping around here. We had Harold, who's been living in Santa Clarita for over 70 years. So we also got his perspective of this community and service. We want to show you a clip of some of our podcast recordings. These are recent. And you can raise your volume if you can't hear the audio very well.
When I was here, you knew everybody in the valley. You knew them. You knew what their dad did. You knew what their mother did. You knew what their brothers did.
This is Harold.
They were part of a family. Way to get involved in your community is to participate in an organization. When you do that, then you become part of a family. Being afraid is just natural, but overcoming your fear to a goal is something else.
Rotaract is changing communities like ours around the world. The idea is to bring people together of all ages, 18 and over, to exchange ideas with leaders in the community, develop leadership and professional skills, and have fun through the service.
For any young person that will eventually get to be in their 60s like I am, you can look back and say, my life has been filled with purpose, or my life has been pretty much wasted. I wouldn't want anybody that I know to get to the end and say, was that all there was? When I joined, I was a college-age kid. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I wanted to go into business. I knew I wanted to go into banking. I did all of that successfully, but it would have been meaningless without a moral compass that Rotaract and then later Rotary provided for me. We believe that it's not only about service, but it's about being ethically correct in the things you say and you do. We want people that are busy. We want people that have a stake in how their community is going to work. What you get out of Rotary is what you put into it.
Our mission is to build a better world for women and girls. We empower women through our service and advocacy projects. Zonta envisions a world in which women's rights are recognized as human rights and every woman is able to achieve her full potential.
We're not a huge organization, but we have a huge impact. The financial reach that we have to really combat some of the ills that are facing women and girls today, it's amazing. When I was looking for ways in which you could become a part of something bigger than you, Zonta provided that opportunity, and it provided it not just on a local level, but for me, the work that we do on an international level has been one of the draws that has kept me connected to Zonta in terms of improving the lives of women and girls.
When I was in college and we were dealing with racism, war, women's rights, and we were starting to deal with gay rights, these are still the issues that are facing us today. And it really breaks my heart to see that there's still so much work to be done, but it does my heart good to see the passion that the Gen Z kids have for the same set of issues.
They are really, to me, the S generation, and we are creating our future together.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you. And I want to go, let me get out of this.
We know we're running a little overtime.
Yes, I just want to,
yeah.
Yeah, I want to go back just two more slides, and we're just very, very quickly, and I apologize for technical issues on our end, on my end, actually. But we wanted to close, and I'll just go ahead and Let me see here. I apologize. Can you tell we're extremely nervous? And this has just been something that we've been planning for, and unfortunately, just a little nervous on our end here. Okay.
You're doing great.
All right. I apologize again. So with this, just wanted to wrap it up here. Habits of the heart. Again, taking this idea of the personal and the collective, and what are we trying to do? Through this work, we are really trying to create the personal heart, how we can get our students to have this kind of emphasis where they're looking at the respect and the dialogue and the shared emphasis and empathy and on all those kinds of things that can be developed through working with older adults, and particularly in our nonprofits. At the same time, we're hoping that we're creating the collective heart, that we're creating that mutual support and social bonds and networks and all those kinds of things that are so desperately needed in communities today, not only to keep people together, but also to look at those kinds of social problems as a team. And then finally, our next steps, you can just see here. These are the things that we are in need of and that we will continue to work on, but everything from recruiting to having our podcast series continue and funding. We also are embedding this into parts of our curriculum through project-based learning, and also creating a nonprofit's video repository that we hope will help both students and faculty, more professional development opportunities. And then most importantly, we are integrating this into our COC strategic plan as part of civic and community engagement. And so with that, we just want to say thank you very, very much to the Pando team for everything that you provided us.
All right, wonderful. Thanks so much, folks. That was beautiful. Love the presentation. Clearly, I have a new podcast that I need to sign up for. Awesome. So Steve, Chris, and Cassie, we're a little over time, but I'd still love to at least get a comment from each of you before we move into the next project. Maybe Cassie starts.
Sure thing. Thank you so much. That's really exciting and inspiring. And the problem you've identified, the challenge you've identified, is really imperative to our success in doing any of these things. And so that's really great and nice to see. I guess a couple of comments that came to mind were with regard to a podcast. And not speaking from my own personal experience, but maybe of my parents' generation, have you done an evaluation to see how the podcasts reach older generation compared to the younger generations who've been using it forever? Do you think you have a extensive reach with a tool like that?
Part of this is part of our larger problem, to be quite honest, because while we are creating these podcasts, and we've actually started in the summer, we've now continued partially through fall semester, we still have to have funding to actually create the platform. So we are in the process of trying to do that right now, but that's one of the sort of ironies of all of this. We have all of the equipment, we have the students, we have the faculty in media arts, but we do not have the actual funding to create or sustain that platform, but we're working on it. So as far as your question is, I don't know how to answer it yet because we haven't been officially able to launch it.
I see.
Unofficially, just my own personal relationship with older adults, I do have observed podcasts to be very popular among at least my circle of friends and family. I don't know about you guys if you enjoy listening to them as well, but yes. But I think, go ahead.
I was going to say my only other comment, and I give this, I say this to any organization that I've been working with, and we do this ourselves, but I did see in your funding model that you had non-paid interns, and I just encourage you to look for ways to pay interns to make sure that the opportunities for those students are equitable to all students.
Absolutely.
And we have done as much as we can. Believe me, we are right there with you. And so we're always trying to turn over every couch cushion where there's money that we can put towards helping students.
Great, thank you.
Great. Chris and Steve, do you have a quick comment to throw out there?
Love the project. It is a podcast, but it's also an oral history project,
Yes.
Which is just wonderful to be able to capture and archive. I know we only got to see a very tiny sliver. I would love to hear more insights on environmental sustainability and community resilience. That would be really wonderful to see. But overall, really love the project, love the civic engagement aspect.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Chris. Steve, how about you?
Sure. I mean, I think this is a great project. As someone who's aging and seeing the city of Los Angeles that I grew up quickly change around me, and just seeing how quickly communities, generations, and things were moving. I think, branding these type of things with these connections with the younger generation, older, really gives a more sense of place, and, to these different areas. I think it should be definitely commended on creating that type of community and going deeper into that. And I just want to echo what Chris said, particularly, bringing in that resiliency, community, and environmental aspects, because I'm sure, your part of the neck of the woods is quickly losing that agricultural bent, and, and seeing it change into a more suburban family is probably, something that will be really interesting to capture.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. Wonderful project.